Hi, I'm Rick Harvey, and I'm a poet, a writer, an artist, and I'm a 9-year brain cancer survivor. Unfortunately, kind of rare that I'm a 9-year brain cancer survivor, but I got to have some great experiences, and I want to share some with you and the world in a book called 20 Poems, 20 Paintings. In April of 2005, April 13th, I walked into Dr. Prado's office in Harbor City, and I had had a headache for 6 weeks, and I had gone to 5 other doctors, and she was the first one to do a neurological exam. And she grabbed a pink pad of paper, and she wrote CT scan of the brain, and checks next to stat, and sent me to radiology. After I got the CAT scan, when I walked up to the desk, the receptionist told me to report to the emergency room immediately. And then they checked me into the hospital, and 3 days later, Dr. Schweitzer performed a craniotomy on me. So it was a 5-centimeter brain tumor, and he took margin of brain tissue around it and closed me up, and I woke up in the critical care unit. During radiation treatment, I had a lot of heat come into my body. I was so hot at night, I just couldn't sleep. I had a stack of shirts I would leave next to my bed, and I would take the shirt off that was soaked when I woke up, toss it aside, and put a new shirt on. I would go out to the living room. My wife was in the bedroom. I wanted to let her sleep, and so I would go out there and then just kind of fill my night trying to focus on the outcomes that I wanted. My wife suggested that I should write, so I began writing. I had a journal and started writing in it, and beautiful things came out. I wrote poem after poem after poem. They were very positive mostly, although they did talk about my fears. Some of these poems are in 20 Poems, 20 Paintings. And I began sharing them with fellow survivors, and it was helping those survivors to just really process what they were going through. In that process, it helped me to get through what I was going through. I decided in this time that I had too much to live for. I was going to stay alive. I didn't feel like I was going to die, even though I had this imminent possibility of death looking me in the face. So I began focusing on eating healthy, staying strong, and creative product, creating poems. These poems are what came out. This Kickstarter will launch a book, 20 Poems, 20 Paintings. 20 of my favorite poems that I wrote during that time, which tell the arc of my story from prognosis, when I feel like I have needles coming at me everywhere, to wonderful mess at the end, where I'm just feeling so full of grace and joy and gratitude. It's a journey told both in words, in poems, and paintings. The way the paintings were inspired were when I created a workshop called Healing Through Creativity. And Healing Through Creativity brought people in, and I took different segments of poems and read them. In these workshops, we ended up creating healing vocabulary. We also had a breakout session at the end where people would create their own artwork, or they would take those healing vocabulary words and they would take crayons. I provided them with crayons and paper and the words, and they could either take a word and illustrate it, they could draw a picture, they could try and write a poem. So all of these pieces of artwork that came through, what they came up with inspired me. I began with watercolors and had a lot of fun with that. They were very challenging. I wanted them to stay in one place and they wouldn't, but it always ended up turning out pretty well. I had a great teacher, and then I switched to acrylic, and then I switched to pastel chalk. I really liked pastel chalk a lot. I had the opportunity to share those, and I was getting very positive feedback. My desire to create artwork with the poems was morphing into something bigger. 20 Poems, 20 Paintings is going to be a book that's going to help a lot of people. It's going to help people who are dealing with cancer to process it. It's going to help people who are supporting those dealing with cancer to process that. It's going to help people who have never had any experience with cancer, who have other problems that they're trying to process, because the lessons I learned about faith and about just having fight in me and believing, those are lessons that people who are struggling can apply in their lives, no matter what their experience is. The book, 20 Poems, 20 Paintings, is going to be the starting point of a curriculum based in the Common Core. It's going to be very helpful for a lot of kids, and it's also a curriculum that can be used with adults. I had access to some of the best healthcare you can have. It didn't do much for me to make me feel empowered. The doctors were telling me what to do, and I was doing what I was supposed to do. But the whole process of having cancer can be very disempowering. And the places that I went to that empowered me, to support groups like the Cancer Support Community, Beat the Odds, and I did a program called First Ascents, Adventure Therapy. Those are psychosocial supports. They don't get a lot of funding, and they're very, very beneficial, and this is where I draw my inspiration for what I'm doing. I want to have that type of support for people who can really benefit from it. The people who fight, the people who seek out help, the people who are empowered are the ones that seem to do best when they encounter and face cancer. I want to help those people get what they want. 20 Poems, 20 Paintings will help a lot of people get their mind to the right place, because it tells the arc of my story. It tells the struggles, it tells the fears, and it tells the process of becoming more empowered, of believing more, gathering more gratitude, and moving towards wellness. Focusing on wellness. It tells about focusing on what you want as your outcome. It doesn't talk about, oh, this sucks. Well, maybe a little bit, but it also talks about, these are the things I'm grateful for, these are the things I want in my life, these are the things I want to do. The psychosocial programs that I participated in, like Beat the Odds and the Cancer Support Community, First Ascents, had a huge influence on my life. The DNA of those programs is in my poems and in my paintings. This book, 20 Poems, 20 Paintings, is going to help a lot of people. It's going to help them get through some of the most difficult times in their lives, and I really appreciate your support. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. I have a number of different incentives set up for the investors, and everybody's going to get an electronic copy, even at the first level of $10. Moving up, there'll be a postcard with one of the Cancer Gets Served images. Moving up again to a 8.5 by 11 of that image. And as it goes up, there's some posters available, there are books available, and multiples of books available, so you can share with people that you think are really going to benefit from it. So thank you very much. I appreciate your taking the time to look this over, and I hope you will support me in my dream to bring this book to the people who need it.